Discussion SQL queries. So we have a SQL sales DB file that we need to get into a database, and then we have to make some queries. Let me show you how I did that, and yeah, let's get started. So first I jumped over to the modules and to this page called joins and just downloaded the zip file. The zip file has in it a number of SQL files to actually create the database tables and then some data, it seems. Let me open some of that. Yeah, so as I thought, it's basically going to drop the table if it exists, items. If not, then it will create it, and it just has some basic columns in it. So the items CSV is just also just as expected, having the data for the database. They could have resided in the same file, but you can import this as well. So let me show you. So those of you who watched my tutorial in the other discussion this week will know how I got here. If you didn't, just go there, check it out. It's a short explanation of how I got all this going. And so I will use this just to import and manipulate the data for us here today. So I have extracted the tables each to their, into a folder here, from which I will just select them and import them into the database using phpMyAdmin. So we got the first table, transactions, got it imported. Now the next one. Got owner, oh that's the CSV. Now we got the SQL selected, go. Now the items, we got owners and transactions, now items, and there we go. So we have those three database tables imported. Now let's populate them with data. We open one of those and then again import. And now I'll actually select the CSV file. And as you can see, it has actually imported those values into our table quite simply. Let's do that with the others as well. So I've just selected the owners.csv and click go. Now transactions CSV selected, and now click go. Okay, so we have the transactions here, owner, items. That's how we get the data in a database. Now let's look at making those queries. Write a SQL query that will list the first and last name of the buyers who did not sell a share. Okay, let's do that. So we select the owner last name and owner first name. And I probably should swap that around. So let's see. It's first name and then last name from the owner table as, let's call this A, because we called it A up there. Then we'll do a left join of the transaction table as, let's call it T, on the T dot seller ID equaling to the A dot owner. Is it A dot owner ID? I think so. Yeah. So basically it selects the seller is the one who sold to the owner table where the names are. Okay, so what, they should not have sold a table, right? Oh, it's a chair. Names of the buyers who did not sell a chair. Okay, good. So that will be where T dot item is not chair. I think that should do it. Let's try it out. Let's run it. Say go. Ooh, I have a typo. It should say owners, plural. Don't know how that happened. So let's try again. And there we go. So it basically executed that query and resulted in this outcome. Now we can click here, edit inline, to go back to it. We can also click on explaining the SQL, and we can even ask it to create for us the PHP to do the same from PHP if we didn't have a database wrapper kind of driver for ourselves in some framework. Then this would be the raw SQL, which isn't how we usually write it anymore. We usually use a framework to connect the database and get the data, but it's good to know how it's done manually. Now for the second task, provide a SQL statement needed to update the president database. For example, recent presidents are missing or some have passed away. The recipe can be found module 2, SQL Queries, and then some websites. Let's see. So first we import the president table. And there we go, we have it imported. Structure is here. So now we import its data. So I opened the data file in spreadsheet. I'm gonna remove this first column, and then I'm going to save it as a CSV. So save as. I already did that, so I'll overwrite the existing one. Click save. Yes. Then I'll use text format, and I'll make sure to quote all text cells. Use the UTF-8, and that should be fine. Okay. So we've got a CSV now. And then go to import and select our CSV. Here is one thing I will say: do not abort on insert error, and go. And so we have it in actually added all the values. Here I must admit I am not that informed on all the history of the United States presidents being South African. So let's see. I should now add one. So adding dating with PHPMyAdmin, we can go to the database table and click insert and simply fill in the information here and click go, and it will add it to our database. So I'm just using some generic values here and click go, and it has inserted those values, and it's also provided me with the actual SQL to have done this manually. So I could copy this SQL for our discussion post, and if I want to see the PHP to insert this, I could say create the PHP, and there is the PHP to also do the same. Okay. Thanks for watching. This is just a simple tutorial to show you how I actually went about these tasks, about the websites and displaying data which it's querying I already made a tutorial about that somewhat in the previous discussion, so I will add some links here nonetheless. But yeah, until next time, take care. This is Llewellyn. Was fun showing you around. Cheers.